Right guys, Dan Hendriksen here. We are at St Melian and we're carrying on part of the series of our journey to play in the English Open at Forest of Arden in what will be a month's time from when I'm filming this. Now, part of this whole process I wanted to go through with you with Paul is I want to have a little look at his golf bag as we speak a month before the event, because I know if you think I'm a tinkerer, he's on a different level. So let's go and have a little look at what Paul's got in his golf bag. Right, Paul, let's have a little look at your golf bag, shall we?
Yep.
So you tend to tinker around a little bit with clubs, don't you? You're always on TrackMan having a little play around.
Always trying to see what's better, yeah, definitely. If I can find anything better, then I'll put it in the bag. Definitely.
At one stage, I remember when we were at Wentworth, you were, and to be fair, you were just trying to gear up for that golf course, weren't you? I mean, I felt like I was literally running backwards and forwards to the TaylorMade tour van for what felt like quite a lot, but you do like to have a little tinker a little bit, don't you?
I think when we got there, we found out that the greens were a lot firmer than we had kind of anticipated.
Yeah.
So certainly we're looking to put in new wedges that at the start of the week we weren't.
Yeah.
And a few other bits. There was a couple of clubs. I got these actually, these M2s back from Wentworth. They've come out the tour truck.
Yeah.
And we were just tinkering around with those, trying to get the lofts changed, maybe a couple of lie angles, because they could do stuff at the tour, on the tour trucks, that you just can't get done anywhere else.
In pro shops. You mean Leicester can't do them? Because I mean, he does like to have a little play. He feels like I think he thinks he's a good.
He probably would
club
tell
repair
you
man.
He could do them, but I wouldn't trust him with them, that's for sure. So,
right, let's have a little look bottom end then. So what wedges are we currently using down there?
Okay, so I've got SM7 in the 58.
Yeah.
I've got SM6 in the 46.
Yeah.
And I've got a 54, which I think is bent to 52, which actually I can't remember because I've tinkered around with that one so much.
Yeah. So you've got 4 on the 58. You've got 4 degrees of bounce in an L grind.
Yeah.
I mean, that would absolutely scare me to death. I'd like a little bit of help underneath there, but you tend to happily slide that club underneath.
Yeah, I like to open the face of the club, so the more you open the face, the more you're going to increase the bounce. So by reducing the bounce down to 4, I find it easier just to allow me to open up on most shots that people wouldn't try. So. And
then 54, you go into an 8 bounce, so obviously that's slightly different again.
I think it's now down to 6. So when I took this club on, I went especially for the M grind in that, which they only did in a 54, so I was going to bend it to 52, which was going to change the bounce to 6. So just reducing the bounce down. But I've got some new ones ordered. So
yeah, so we're going to get you into SM8, aren't we, for the tournament? Which
SM8s,
we'll talk about that. I mean, SM6, you kind of, would you just skip a generation there? You missed SM7, was that
I don't know, actually,
available?
I didn't realise until we've just looked that they were actually SM6s. I would have told you they were SM7s. But if I'm honest, I like this to have sharp grooves.
Yeah.
The other two, for what we play, I'm quite happy for the grooves to be worn out on those, because I don't want them spinning back too much. So, but again, if we get up to Forest of Arden and the greens are firm, then I'm going to want some sharp grooves, really.
And the 46 is obviously, that's from a kind of specialist wedge and not one from the set. I mean, we've had many discussions about this, and you've tried to convince me to move into that, but I tried it for a little while, but it didn't pan out so well. But what's the sort of thought process there?
I much prefer to chip with it around the greens. It gives you much more feel. Yeah. And I always find with the wedge in a full set that you get they just tend to go too far, and they don't have as much feel. They are quite hot off the face. Yeah. And I just like to have it in the Vokey. It definitely gives you more control, and I prefer it around the greens, and I just feel I got more control over hitting like punch shots and different shots in. Okay, and then we move into the irons then, and there's a lot of there's a combo set that I used to sell, but this is another level again now, aren't we? Yeah. So we've got the Blade Apex, Callaway Apex MB in the 9 iron and the 8 iron.
and then we go into X forged in 7-iron, 6-iron. I don't see a 5-iron in. Oh, and then you've got and then you've got the UTs in the 5-iron. What is it? 24 and a 21.
Yeah.
So proper little combo going on there.
Yeah. It's just a progressive set, and I love the control. I've played around with using cavities, using full blades, and I found that the 8 and 9-iron is definitely something I need in a blade.
Yeah.
It gives you much more control. That's non-negotiable these days. I don't want to use cavities for that.
Yeah.
The 7 and 8 is where you get the change-up area there, which there's an argument where I probably could put a 7 or a 6 in a blade.
Yeah. To blend it better.
Yeah.
Okay. Because have you played around with the lofts with those, or are they pretty standard out the box stuff?
I can't remember anymore. I know what they go. I know what the distances they go, and I have tweaked the lofts over time. I think they're probably about 1 degree strong.
Yeah. Well, I think you went a slightly stronger in the blade, and then I think it blended better into the cavity, if I remember the order.
But I went back. I think last year I tried to get an even space in my yardages.
Yeah.
So I tweaked them all to give me, I think it was about 13 yards. I wanted difference in carry or roll. I can't remember now.
Okay.
But so I tweaked them all to give that result rather than actually going with what the loft is. I was going with what distance it gave me.
Yeah.
So they're all a bit varied up, which is why there's no real 5, 4, 3-iron. I've kind of got somewhere in between a 5 and a 4.
Yeah.
And I've got somewhere in between a 4 and a 3 there, which kind of progresses it.
Yeah, and you've gone UT because you just want a little bit of a higher launch out of those?
I found that the 5, 4-iron in the X Forged was giving me a total distance, which was good, but the carry distances weren't good enough. They weren't carrying much further than the 5-iron wasn't carrying much further than the 6-iron, and the 4-iron wasn't carrying much further than the 5-iron. So
okay.
I tweaked these, give it a higher launch, stop a bit quicker, and they're a bit easier to hit, and they go quite nice actually. They're really good.
A lot of people like to know what shafts are being used in these irons. Do you know what you kind of use? What are you into at the moment? In your wedges, what shafts you got in
wedges,
there?
I've just got standard wedge shaft.
They're not standard, there's a Tor one. They're Tor stickers on them. There's nothing standard in that. That's a Tor issue.
That, I think it's a Tor issue, but it's the actual, because I got that one off the Tor van.
Yeah.
It's a Tor sticker, but it's the same shaft as a wedge shaft.
So it's basically an S200 shaft in there, is it?
They just put fancy shafts on
stickers on them. So that's in the wedges, and then what do you go in then the irons?
I've got some these dodgy shafts, which
you went super light, didn't you?
I wanted light, yeah. So I was experimenting with clubhead speed, etc., etc., and I found out that by putting a really, really light shaft in, I could generate a lot more clubhead speed. So, and it didn't affect my accuracy or performance. So these are I hit the ball quite low.
Yeah.
So these launch it reasonably high, and they're really, really good shaft. They don't look great, but they perform pretty good for me. So I'm happy with that.
And then it changes again. That's the same shaft when you get into the X Forged?
X Forged it is.
Yeah, and then they look different in there.
These are different. These are KBS Tor taper. Again, light shafts.
Yeah, 110 stiff.
Slightly heavier because I think, if I remember rightly, these heads were a bit lighter.
Okay.
So I went for something just slightly heavier in here, which just felt good. And it was just a case of just trying them out and which ones I got on best with, and these were good.
So there's a lot of discussion when we talk about shafts and bits and pieces, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, what it says on the label. You're just going at it from a feel and a performance point of view of what TrackMan's giving you the numbers on.
We're fortunate. Where I coach down at Plymouth Golf Centre, we've got a TrackMan. Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to have access to that to try out my own equipment. And I just go purely on the numbers. I don't always take what the manufacturer says for what they say for performance, but I test it myself and I find what feels good for me, and if the numbers stack out well, then I'll use it.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. That's such the best way for any type of fitting. I'm always asking when I'm doing fits about feel and stuff like that. You know, I'll take care of the numbers with players, but they've got to give me some feedback on feel. Okay, then we move into hybrid. What's that is?
So this is I just found this in the museum.
You've got that at the loft. That's come. That is a 910, 17 degree 910 Titleist H. Well, I don't even know if it's a H1 or what it is, but 17 degree is it? And you've got
17 degree.
I haven't seen that shaft
and
for a long time.
And this shaft is a.
Well, it's a 6.0. It's a It's an X. It's an X.
It's an X.
So it's a 100 gram X flex.
Yeah. The reason this came about is the one I had before this had a steel shaft in. So I went up and I got fitted by Titleist many moons ago, and I asked for a graphite shaft that was slightly lighter but performed similar to the, I can't remember what shaft I had in the steel, but I wanted it.
Probably.
It might have been a Project X.
Oh yeah, okay.
Quite a stiff Project X.
Yeah.
And I asked for something that performed the same but in a graphite shaft that was slightly lighter to give a bit more distance, and that's what they kind of came back with. And I've kind of stayed with that, and I don't like the hybrids going too high because they're obviously built to launch it. So I like to have something that I can keep a bit lower. Yeah. That's going to kind of give a similar performance to the irons. Yeah. Not start sending it, you know, a couple 20, 30 feet higher than my 3 or 4 irons. So.
Right. Okay. And then we move into the 5 wood, is it? Have you got? Do you carry a 5 wood? I mean, you have a go at me about head covers, but you've got a few head covers in there now, haven't you?
It's getting silly
we're getting old. That's what's happening.
Yeah, but no, I've got this is what I call my forward. So I go rescue forward, but it's a 3HL. I did tinker around with the 5 wood. Yeah. Back in when we got these, but this was a slightly bigger head, and I didn't like I don't like the shape on when you get the fairway woods where the heads are too small, and I feel that then it curves. It feels like when you look down at the face is quite convex or concave, whichever. Convex. Yeah. So I don't like the look of that. So the wider the head for me on a fairway wood makes the face look a bit straighter and feels like I'm going to hit it straighter. So I went for the slightly bigger head. Yeah. And then we had the lofts tweaked on this in the tour van. I think it was set to 17, so it's not far off a 5 wood forward. Yeah, and I'll be honest, like that. Before we went to Wentworth, I knew that I've never seen a wood be tweaked the way that was tweaked. We're not going to find that in pro shops, are they? For guys to be able to tweak them. But the other thing that you got to remember is on that particular head, it's a glued head. So you haven't got the option to be able to move, you know, tinker around with the loft or the lie or anything like that with that one. So they needed to have those sort of devices to be able to move those for tall players, didn't they? Yeah. Okay, so then what? Then you've got a 3 wood. 3 wood, same which spec really. It is a similar spec. It's the same head. They're both tour heads as well, by the way. They've got a dot there, so they're not. Oh, that's my umbrella's just gone. So the tour heads, which is slightly different groove pattern, and they perform slightly different. Yeah. This one's been bent to 13.5 or 13.25, so it's technically a 2 wood that. So I wanted nice and I'm not a particularly big hitter, so I wanted a stronger 3 wood to be able to hit off the fairway, going into par 5s and whatnot. So that's a really strong. That's strong, and then the 3 wood strong as well. Okay, and then driver. Now this, M2, 2016 M2, so this is old. I've had pretty much all the other TaylorMade new ones, but not one of them has performed any better than that. Wow. So that's the reason why that is still in my bag. I've actually got 3 of them. I've been on eBay and bought a backload of them because I can't beat the numbers on TrackMan with that. So interesting, isn't it? So 2006, 4 years old now. Yeah. If you bought it off eBay, it might be 5 years old, but yeah. I mean, it's fantastic. I mean, I like that, you know, with all these new technologies and bits and pieces. I just like the fact that you found something that I mean, we talk about you being a tinkerer, but it's more tinkering with the clubs that you've got rather than trying to put new kit in your bag at all times. You know, I won't put anything in unless it's better. Yeah. And it's got to go through the TrackMan tests, and it's got to go through out on the golf course, and when I'm under pressure it can perform, and all those bits. So yeah, I do tinker with things, but I only tinker and it only gets in my bag when it's right and when it's better than what I've got in there before. Okay, just give me the shaft. What shafts have you got in those then? A bit of a mixture. Again, it's a mixture based not on guesswork. It's all been tested. So this here is a Diamana 70D. It's a Tour X, and that's in the 5 wood, or forward, which gives it, for me, it brings the trajectory down a little bit. Right. Which again, I don't want this thing going up too high. Yeah. I want to be able to control it down. I found with the 2 wood or 3 wood that it was coming out quite hot and quite low.
Yeah.
So I've actually gone and put a Diamana red stiff in that. And you'd think that would have a massive difference on that, but it hasn't really. It maybe popped it up a little bit, but when I put it in, I thought it was a bit extreme, but it's not.
This is all making sense, because I'm a 5 wood X, and then my 3 wood goes into stiff. So there's, it's all done based on what flight you're getting from it and how it kind of feels for you.
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, that's the reason behind that.
And then driver shaft.
Driver, actually, I've changed the shaft. This is my backup driver, actually.
What do you mean backup?
Well, I've got another, the one that I've been using the last few years.
Yeah.
It's not this one. It's the other one.
Okay.
Which has got the similar Diamana shaft in again. So I've been experimenting while we got the lockdown.
Yeah.
I've been experimenting out on the course with this hazardous
Project Hazardous 6.0, 55 grams.
55 grams. So
that's very light.
I've gone light. So I'm always looking to increase my club head speed as much as I can, and I found that by a lighter shaft, it's given me more club head speed. I've also got a lighter head. This is a tour head with a lighter weight in the back.
You are going to blow the mind of these people watching
this. The top trump of this is actually I've got a light grip.
So you've like properly lightened it right off.
This is the secret. This is a Golf Pride Tour 25 lightweight grip. It's half the weight of a normal grip.
Right.
And I put this on, and obviously everyone's always looking to bring the weight of the shaft down, get it down as light as possible to create more club head speed, but nobody really had looked at the grip, and I had a go with this, and I actually spotted on one of the long drive championships, one of the guys had it on. It's quite an obvious grip to see. It doesn't look great.
You found the secret for driving. Well, that's a great title for this video.
Just don't tell anyone.
No, right? I won't. Right. I won't. And then putter in there, which looks like it's got an awful lot of lead tape on it, and it looks very old.
It's great though. It's one of the Yes. I don't know why they stopped making these.
Yes. Harold Swash design.
Yes.
Yes putter. It's C groove.
I couldn't tell you what it's called anymore.
It's called a Cali.
It's a Cali.
Yeah.
You've got
so much lead tape on there.
Yeah.
So again, why all the lead tape?
So the lead tape is to change the weight of the putter.
Yeah.
It kind of, before they brought in the ban of the belly putter, I had a belly putter which was really heavy.
Yeah.
When they brought the ban in, I had to cut it down to normal length, and obviously as a result it ended up being really heavy.
Yeah.
But I love the feel of the putter, so I then weighted this one up to match the one that I'd cut down in weight wise, because it gave a great feel, and I just feel it keeps. I always used to find that when I was taking the club back and forward, the club would kind of wave around a bit.
Yeah.
And I feel with this, it just stays dead on line, and it tracks really well with the stroke. So
right.
That's the reason for the lead tape. Also got a round grip on it.
Yeah. Okay.
Which you don't see, and these are a nightmare to get hold of as well, because people just don't make them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then it's probably
what
31, 32 inches.
Oh, very short.
Very short.
Very short, yeah.
As a result,
proper old school. Harold Swash was a big.
Yeah.
He was big for that, wasn't he?
Like and
David Howe was in that as well. In fact, that's basically the setup he pretty much has.
Similar sort of thing.
And lie of it, then you've bent it around a bit, have you?
It's been bent up.
Quite upright.
I couldn't tell you what it is.
No, but it's quite an upright position that you put yourself into. Yeah. Okay, and then last couple of things that I just want to know about is what golf ball do you use?
Golf ball, got a Titleist Pro VX.
Yeah.
Which I've used ever since the Pro VX came out. I've always used the Pro VX. I've never moved away from it. I've always been happy with it.
Yeah.
And Titleist have always been really, really good with me, and have supplied me with golf balls. So
yeah.
I've never changed.
Well, you don't lose many, to be fair.
No.
So you're like me, we wear them out.
Yeah. I got.
And you've got, what number have you got on there?
23.
This is quite interesting, isn't it? Because I feel like I'm coming out of retirement to caddy for you in this big thing. Number 23 is Michael Jordan, and you remember he came out of retirement?
Yeah, he did, yeah.
So this is kind of like, I feel like I'm a bit like Michael Jordan coming back, you know? But number 23 is actually birthday.
It's just my birthday, and
23rd.
Probably my favourite number.
And then you've got the British stamp logo on there.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
okay. And then what glove do you use?
Glove, always use FootJoy, or sometimes Titleist.
Titleist ones,
depends on which I can get hold of.
Yeah.
This one's probably my favourite. This or the Pure Touch. I think this is the Cyflex.
That's the old Cyflex one, yeah.
They're good because they last a bit longer. so you can get some
so
good
it's slightly
wear out
thicker, isn't it?
Slightly
it's a slightly thicker feel. And then
so
Pure Touch is what?
Pure Touch do feel a lot better, but you know, you only get a few rounds out of that. So
yeah, okay.
If you're looking for a good glove that's
in the tournament though, you were going to go to Pure Touch?
Yeah, I prefer to use that if I can get hold of them. Yeah.
And then rangefinder. Do you use a rangefinder?
I do, yes. I've actually got Bushnell.
Yeah.
Pro Slope Jolt.
Okay, yeah.
Which does the slope as well.
Yeah, and you like this one because it's the big one, isn't it?
It's a lot. I hate the
small ones, yeah, which is where they've kind of gone.
Yeah, I find that. Well, I don't know. Maybe I can't steady them.
Steady your hand better.
And the worst thing you want to be doing is hitting the tree behind the flag. And,
getting all in trouble there. And that's got slope on it, hasn't it?
Slope. You can turn it on and off the slope.
Yeah.
So
that's great. So that's good for when we're training for an event. It's always good to go and figure out what sloping is going to be, even though I know the yardage charts that they give you kind of indicate that a little bit, but this is definitely something for practice rounds and things like that. It's perfect for that, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, we can use these Bushnells now in our PGA tournaments, so it's massive to be able to use those and get the exact yardages when you've not got a properly mapped out golf course with a planner. It's definitely added a big thing to the game, and if somebody said you can play with 10 clubs in one of these or 14 clubs and not one of these, I would take the 10 clubs in one of these, definitely.
So there you go, there's a little insight into what Paul has currently got in his golf bag. Like I said before, you know, he does tinker around, but you can see there that he's kind of found clubs that he loves and works with, clubs that he trusts. One of the big things that our dad always used to say to us was that always find the best products you can get hold of when you're out competing, and Paul certainly does like to have a little play around, but ultimately he's never going to put anything in his golf bag that isn't going to beat what he's currently got. And I think that's a fantastic message to any of you out there. I know we all like shiny things, but sometimes it's good to have the correct tools in your bag that are going to work for you and have been through some, you know, some good moments with you. Let me know, put your comments down below. I'd like to hear what you say about that. Are you using some of the products that Paul's using? I'd like to hear what you say. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. As always, stay safe, and we'll catch up with you again soon.